Before you say a single word, people have already decided how much they'll listen to you. It wasn't what you said, it was what you communicated without realizing it. Authority doesn't begin with your voice, it begins with your body, your gaze, the way you occupy space. And there is one specific behavior that destroys this, silently, every single time. You seek approval with your body before you ever ask for it with words. A smile at the wrong moment, a laugh that wasn't needed, an agreement that came from fear, not conviction. Every time you do this, something invisible happens. People recalibrate how much weight they'll give your next words, and the worst part, you don't even notice you're doing it. This started before you were even conscious of it. It was taught in silence. You learned that to be accepted, you had to be pleasant. To be pleasant, you had to give in. To give in, you had to hide what you actually thought. And now you're an adult, but the pattern is still running. It just got more sophisticated. Let me show you how this behavior shows up in everyday life and how it's being read by the people around you. When someone contradicts you, you laugh before you respond. It looks like politeness. It's actually a signal that you don't trust your own position. When you enter a new environment, you immediately adjust your behavior to please whoever is there. When someone important ignores you, you do something extra to be noticed, a joke, a comment, an unnecessary gesture. Each one of these behaviors says the same thing without words. I still need you to feel whole. And someone with real authority never communicates that. The Bible describes this in a way that will make you uncomfortable. Proverbs 29:25 says, "Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe." Fear of man, not fear of being hit, fear of being judged, ignored, rejected, diminished. And that fear is a snare because it makes you act for people instead of acting from who you are. When you act for people, they feel it, and what they feel isn't respect, it's control. You think you're getting closer to people with this behavior, you're actually pushing them away. Here's the break that few people understand. People don't follow those who need them, they follow those who don't need their validation. That isn't coldness, it's integrity. It's knowing who you are regardless of what others decide to think. But how do you get there when the pattern is so deeply rooted? First, you need to stop confusing posture with arrogance. Arrogance is needing to appear bigger. Posture is simply not needing to appear smaller. Second, you need to notice the exact moment the behavior shows up. The trigger is almost always the same: someone with more status, more apparent confidence, or whose judgment you fear. And the moment you notice the trigger, you already have a choice. Jesus demonstrated this in a way no leadership book will ever teach you. John 8. The religious leaders brought a woman to publicly humiliate her and force a response from Jesus. They wanted him to yield to social pressure or betray his values. He bent down and began writing on the ground. Silence. No anxiety. No rush to respond. No need for approval. When he did respond, it was with one sentence that dissolved all the pressure without raising his voice. That is authority, not volume, depth. The security of someone who doesn't need the scene to end their way to feel whole. Now bring it back to yourself. When was the last time you stayed quiet under pressure, without defending yourself, without over-explaining, without seeking approval? If the answer is never or rarely, you just found exactly where your authority is being drained. And here is the shift that changes everything. You don't lose authority because people are difficult. You lose it because you haven't yet decided who you are when no one is applauding. Identity isn't what you present, it's what remains when everything you use to protect yourself is removed. Galatians 1:10 asks it directly. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? And it continues, if I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. This isn't religious, it's psychological. It's the difference between living driven by fear and living driven by conviction. Fear makes you manage the impression you create. Conviction makes you simply be, and people feel that difference before you say anything at all. So what changes in practice? Everything starts with a decision before you walk into the room.
the decision that you will not reshape who you are to fit what the environment expects. It isn't rigidity, it's anchoring. You can be kind, flexible, and listen without needing anyone to confirm your worth in order to do it. Real authority isn't won through performance, it's recognized through consistency. People don't respect you for the best version you present. They respect the version that shows up when you're under pressure. And that is only possible when you've stopped needing the pressure to end before you feel secure. Isaiah 30:15 says something most people avoid understanding. In quietness and trust is your strength. Quietness isn't the absence of action, it's the absence of reactivity. It's acting from a center that no one can take from you. You're beginning to understand that the problem was never what people thought of you.
The problem was always what you thought of yourself when no one was watching, because you cannot sustain external authority with an internal voice that still diminishes you. And here is the point that shifts the trajectory. Maturity isn't eliminating insecurity, it's stopping it from making your decisions. Everyone feels insecurity. The difference is who acts despite it and who waits for it to pass before acting. Those who wait never arrive. Because insecurity doesn't pass, it gives way to those who decide to move even while feeling it. Let's return to the behavior that destroys authority before you open your mouth. It isn't a character flaw, it's a survival pattern that has outlived the level you're trying to reach. It served you when you were smaller, now it limits you, and you can choose a different path. The choice isn't between being approved or being rejected. It's between living for other people's gaze and living from what you know to be true. And when you choose the second path, something changes in the way you walk into any room. You stop arriving wondering if you'll be accepted. You start arriving knowing who you are. That isn't arrogance, it isn't indifference, it's the authority of someone who has built something on the inside that doesn't depend on confirmation from the outside. Psalm 27 verse 1 closes with a truth that runs through all of this. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? When your security no longer comes from people, you stop fearing their judgment. And when you stop fearing, you stop performing. And when you stop performing, you begin to simply be. And being is what generates real authority. Before we close, one question to take with you. In which area of your life are you still waiting for approval to act like the person you already know you are? You don't need to resolve this today, but you need to stop pretending it doesn't exist. The next level you're after isn't found in a new skill, a new strategy, or a new environment. It's found in the decision to stop building your presence on what others think and start building it on what you know to be true. Authority that needs applause to exist isn't authority. It's performance with an expiration date. Real authority remains when the applause ends because it never depended on it. If this content touched something real inside you, it's because it was made for those willing to see what is hard to see. That already says something about who you are becoming.